got to do a service on the Postie bike after I've clocked up another 1000 Ks. And I'm going to do a valve clearance check and adjustment, so I'll show you how I do the valve clearance. Then I'll be able to take it for a test ride and check out the new GoPro helmet chin mount, see how that goes. So I've got the left hand side leg shield cover off, and you can see I've got a pit bike tank installed here. Another video shows how it's all plumbed up. I used to have an XR250 tank and that split, so I replaced it with a pit bike tank off eBay. Works well, comes in handy for doing a bit longer trips. Got the cover here and these two caps off here. So 14mm socket on the nut in there. You can turn the engine counterclockwise to line up with the timing mark. I'll zoom in a little closer so you can see what the timing mark looks like. That has to be lined up, and you know you're in the right spot if you've got the cam gear with this slot here lining straight up out, and you've got two little marks on the cam gear top and bottom here lining up with this. So the timing mark's a little T on its side up in there. It's a bit hard to make out on the camera. That's what you're looking for. So the T's on its side. So both the valves should be loose to the touch. I'll get the feeler gauge out in a minute and check them out. So the valve clearance you're after is 0.1 of a mil plus or minus 0.02 of a mil. So that's from 0.08 to 0.12 of a mil. So with my feeler gauges, I've got a 0.102, so that's what I'm aiming for. So my next size up is 0.127, so I've got to make sure that doesn't fit. And the next one smaller is a 0.076, so I want to be bigger than that. So I'll see how they fit and see what adjustment I've got to make. So the 0.102 doesn't quite fit, it's a bit tight. The smaller one fits easily, and that's the same for the top valve as well. So I need to just open them up a tiny bit, which is very fiddly. I'll show you. Now I've undone the lock nut, and I just turned the valve just a frack, and now I can fit the 0.1 of a mil one in. But the next size up, which I don't want to fit, doesn't fit at the moment, so that's good. So I like that. So now I'm going to have to hold the valve in place while I tighten up the lock nut. So I'm just using a ring spanner on the lock nut and a shifter on the square end of the valve. So holding the valve steady, I'll tighten up the lock nut. Just firm, and then I'll have to test that again and see if that's okay. And make sure it's not moved. It's very fiddly, they're little valves. Okay, that feels alright. I'll just check, make sure the next size up doesn't fit. That's good. Okay, so that one's right, so I just have to repeat the process with the top one now. So just undo the lock nut. Okay, and then I'll adjust the valve. Right, now let's just get this feeler gauge in position. It is very fiddly. Okay, and that's it. Just so I can feel a little bit of drag on the feeler gauge, but it's moving all right. Okay, I think that feels all right. I'll just check it again. Very fiddly here. Okay, and I'll lock that in place. A smaller shifter would probably make this easier too. Okay. Let's check that again. So the 0.1. Yeah, I think I might have had that. No, I have to open it up a bit more yet. Yep, I have to open that up a bit more. Okay, let's check that again. That's better. Let's just check and make sure the next size up doesn't fit. No, that's not going to fit. Bring it around this angle so you can see. So you can see the actual valve clearance. If you get some light under there, it's very, very small. Now if you remove this rubber gasket altogether, you've got to put some sealant in the corners here so that it seals properly. And I'll put a bit of sealant around the inside of the cover before I stick it back on, but just also make sure that your little oil tube here is seated properly, hasn't come adrift when you've pulled it apart, is sitting in right, but everything else looks good. So I've just smeared some gasket glue around the seal for the rocker cover, so I'm just using this grey gasket glue, and then I'll put a little bit of oil around the seals for the rubber O-rings, and then put it back together. I'll add all the torque settings on the screen for anyone that's better set up than me, because I don't actually have a torque wrench, so I'm just doing it to what I feel is right. But probably not the best thing, but it's make and do. So I just got to tighten up the cap. Most of this stuff's just firm, not over the top. You don't want to over tighten things. And, right, I'm just going to top it up with oil and put the leg shield back on again. Yeah, so I've got a little shaving bag that I use for tools that velcros underneath the tank. Yeah, so it fits quite neatly in there. Sort of fills the hole as well, so I think it actually looks better having the tool bag there. And the other bag I've got on the front here, on the handlebars, it's just a bum bag, and that's got my first aid kit in it.